The P4 for inclusive governance. P4 is orchestrated for inclusive governance. The integration of the people's public and private sectors institutions is the simplest way to define P4. The people's sector is led by the civil society organizations, the non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and philanthropists. The public sector is led by the government officials, and then the private sector by business executives. In many countries, the people's sector constitute the majority of the citizens. They include the market women, job seekers, farmers, artisans, and students. This sector as a body component is unregulated in many countries and thereby tax-free. For this reason, many governments in the developing countries find reason to shy away from taking the responsibility for the welfare of the mass population. Nevertheless, this sector contributes to the huge volume of the country's gross national income (GNI) and gross domestic product (GDP) through value added tax (VAT), stamp duties, and other numerous government taxation imposed on them by both government and civil organizations agencies. They also constitute the majority of the consumer market base, thereby helping the private sector to thrive and earn profit. For instance, through transfer fees with the banks and finance homes, and interest rates benefits by lenders. In terms of consumption, individual citizens who belong to this sector spend more cash in the long run than those of them who are in the other two sectors because they cannot afford to spend much at a time due to their low purchasing power parity. For instance, a common man cannot afford bags of rice at a singular transaction, unlike their fellow citizens who work at the public and private sectors institutions who can afford to stock their storerooms with enough foodstuffs in one transaction for the use of the week and even for the use of the month for some, thereby earning discount rates through bulk purchases. Unfortunately, this is to say that the ordinary man at low income rate or low purchasing power rate cannot afford bulk purchases of goods and services. Because of that, spends more on consumption. The fact here is that the people sector is strangulated by the government economic policy for the public-private partnership PPP or P3. The reason why government is able to sideline and marginalize this sector is because no one wants to remain there. Everyone who belongs to this sector wants to join the other flourishing sectors, and for that purpose, it is unconsolidated. No one wishes to be a resident member of the people's sector and thereby avoids to be a part of it in full. Everyone wants to escape, just the same way and manner by which many seek for visas to travel out from their own countries to developed countries for greener pastures. The people's sector is an umbrella to establish the ordinary citizen to become independent and self-sufficient, and for eliminating the ordinary citizen's absolute dependency on government seemingly. The only way for this to happen is for government to enact a law that can connect the three sectors on a singular template to join hands together to work for the development of the societies. To achieve this, individual citizens can congregate at their immediate communities in chunks so that they can be organized enough to form development institutions that can harness the available resources within them. For instance, any location that has arable land that can grow a certain crop, let's say palm oil or groundnut, can form an organization for growing such food items. Such organization can join others who do same at the public and private sectors, institutions to form subsectors at the national template along the line of developing the agricultural industry. But mind you, this sector is not limited to only farmers. All other industries can be found at the people sector. For example, I founded an NGO which is offering leadership education. Such organization can join the national templates with the other two sectors along the line of the industry for the development of education and manpower. Furthermore, the people sector is the critical mass who are meant to be supplied with governance, but does also include an untapped raw human potential, which can as well provide the supply of governance to one another. Among them, we have unemployed teachers and students. Among them, we have experts in some other fields and those who wish to learn one trade or another. What P4 will do eventually is to generate a demand and supply needs value chain for inclusive governance, where different organizations can, by implication, match demand with their corresponding supply needs components by the shared values that is based on their occupation and profession, on trust benefit factors for co-prosperity. Essentially, the organizing of the ordinary people at the immediate communities entails that governance can be found at the doorsteps of individual citizens. When these organizations are formed in all parts of the country, they will become part of government by default. As they join the other sectors along the vertical line of dimension by industry, and of course, parallel to them at the horizontal line of dimension as co-development sectors of the society. The people sector will be made up of the labor force which forms the red blood cell of any economy. They are to also care for their younger ones and the adult citizens. Once again, P4 is to be established to become a sustainable platform for economic development nationwide through a grassroots innovation that can be structured by the identity code metrics, which is the systematic energy for I-code methodology. The matrix is 12 by 12, meaning that 144 citizens can form each institution or organization and can establish an administrative base in their location in one room that can be donated by one person, one of their members, at the initial stage. And as time goes on, they can establish themselves the more as a group and expand their capacities. With P4, there is bound to be an integration, cooperation and development of the individuals, organizations, or you may call them institutions, the development of the subsectors and the three major sectors and the country at large. In Nigeria, for instance, 1 million matrices can interconnect 144 active citizens based on their shared values for mitigating their demand and supply needs. But it will require the utilization process, which I-code can provide. If the public and private sector institutions cannot help the ordinary man, who then will do so?